Hey everyone! So I have two phones on my desk. This is my purple iPhone 11. This phone is 6 years old. And this 11, it's not my main phone anymore. It's not even my secondary phone. It's for review purposes like this video. But here's the thing, the iPhone 11 was and still is one of Apple's most popular phones ever. When it launched in 2019, it was the second best-selling and most popular model in the world in just a few months. I know so many people who are still using this phone today. And if you're one of them, you're probably asking the same question every single year. Is now the time to upgrade? Well, today we're going to answer that. We're going to compare this 6-year-old legend to the brand new base model and see what does a 6th generation jump actually feel like. Is the 17 finally the one? So here's what I'm covering. We'll start with a quick look back at what made this 11 so special when it came out. Then we'll do a full side-by-side comparison of the design and more importantly, the display, which is honestly, it's a huge deal. We'll look at the performance, and I've got the Geekbench numbers to show you. We'll talk battery, the new cameras, and the software, especially how the new iOS 26 runs on both. We'll also touch on Apple Intelligence, and I'll tell you honestly why the 11 not getting it isn't a deal breaker for me. And at the end, I'll give you my final verdict on whether you should make this jump. So stick around, this is going to be a good one. So let's just quickly remember what made the 11 so special back in 2019. It succeeded the popular iPhone XR, but Apple did something smart. They launched it for $699, which was $50 cheaper than the XR's debut price. The real story though was all about the camera. It was the first base model to get a dual lens system, adding that brand new ultra-wide lens, and more importantly, it got night mode, powered by the new A13 Bionic chip. This was Apple's answer to Google, and it was a game changer that could finally see in the dark, matching or beating the competition. But to hit that price, Apple cut a corner, and it was the display, a 6.1-inch LCD that reviewers even back then called passable, but aging quickly. So the 11's story was always pro-level camera, but a not-so-pro display. And I want you to remember that, because it comes full circle with the 17. Okay, so let's look at them. Side by side, you can really see the 6 years of evolution. The iPhone 11 in this purple, it has the glossy glass back, the very rounded aluminum edges. It feels comfortable, but it's definitely from a different era. And of course, the classic mute switch. This lavender iPhone 17 is a matte glass. The edges are that flat edge design, but they're much softer now than say the 12 or 13, which I appreciate. And of course, the 17 has the new buttons. The mute switch is gone, replaced by the customizable action button. And on the side, you have the new camera control button, which is, nice to have for a quick launch. But look, the buttons, the colors, that's not the main story. The main story is this. The 11 has a 6.1-inch liquid retina LCD screen. It's fine, it's a good LCD, but it's a 60 Hz panel. And after you use anything else, it just feels slow. The 17, this is a 6.3-inch Super Retina XDR, so it's a gorgeous OLED. It's brighter. The bezels are so thin, and even though the screen is bigger, 6.3-inch up from 6.1, the phone itself is barely any larger. You really only see it if you put them side by side. But the biggest deal, the one that I'm so excited about for the base model, is that it finally has ProMotion. It's not just 120 Hz, it's the adaptive 1:120 Hz display. This is the dream come true that users have been asking for. And this is so important. For years, the base model has had a really fast chip, but it was, trapped behind a 60 Hz screen. My experience with the iPhone 16 was exactly that. A fast chip that felt choppy. The real performance was good, but the screen couldn't keep up. The iPhone 17, it's a different story. The 120 Hz screen unleashes that performance. It's buttery smooth, and it finally makes the base model feel just like a Pro model. Okay, let's talk performance. And the best way to test this isn't just, opening apps. It's the new software. Both of these phones are running the exact same software, the new iOS 26. And iOS 26, as you know, has the new liquid glass design. It's all about these new translucent fluid animations. And on the iPhone 17, with its A19 chip and 120 Hz screen, it's beautiful. It's what Apple intended. But on the iPhone 11, oh man, it's not the same. I really appreciate that Apple is still supporting a 6-year-old phone with major upgrades. That's amazing. But the A13 chip is struggling with these new animations. It's not fluid. It honestly feels like the phone is in like slow motion. It's laggy, it stutters, and the phone gets warm pretty easily with heavy use. So that's the feel. But I also ran the numbers. I ran Geekbench 6 on both. On this iPhone 11, with its A13 chip, I got 1,646 on single core and 2,556 on multi-core, which is right in line with the A13's average, by the way. The new iPhone 17 with its A19 chip scored 3,573 on single core and 9,143 on multi-core. Let's just let that sink in. The single core score is more than double. The multi-core score is over 3.5 times faster. And here's the really wild part. These scores from the base A19 chip are faster than the scores from last year's iPhone 16 Pro Max. So this year's base model is outperforming last year's top-of-the-line Pro. That's insane. Alright, but what about battery? This is a big one, and I did an experiment. I put a brand new 100% health battery in this iPhone 11 just for this review, and honestly, it still sucks. It just does not get me through a full day of my normal usage. And this is the key insight I had. It's not really the battery's fault, it's what I'd call hardware aging. The A13 chip is just not as efficient at running today's apps, and as we've seen, this new iOS 26 is very demanding and is causing battery drain on all kinds of phones, even newer ones. Today's apps are just performance hungry. So that new battery in the 11 is just, it's draining fast because the engine is old and working overtime. The iPhone 17, this is my secondary daily driver, and I've got just under 10 battery cycles on it. I use it a lot, and this thing is a solid 1 day long phone. Easy. All the reviews back this up, calling it a solid all-day device. The A19 chip is way more efficient, and that Pro Motion display, it saves battery by dropping down to 1 Hz when you're just like reading. So on battery, it's not even a competition. Okay, now this is my favorite part. The camera gap between these two it's not just an upgrade, it's a revolution. The iPhone 11 has a great for 2019 dual 12 megapixel system, a wide and an ultra wide, no macro, no telephoto. The iPhone 17 has a dual 48 megapixel system, a main and an ultra wide. So what does that 48 megapixel jump mean? First, more detail, better low light, better exposure, all that. But two huge things. One, you get a 2x in-sensor zoom. This isn't that old blurry digital zoom. It's a high quality crop from the center 12 megapixels of the massive 48 megapixel sensor. So you effectively get a third camera. You have 0.5x, 1x, and now a 2x telephoto on a base model. That's a huge deal. And that new 48 megapixel ultra wide lens, it now works as a macro camera. The iPhone 11 just can't do this. So you're not just getting better photos, you're getting new kinds of photos. But the upgrade I'm really having fun with is the front camera. This thing it's wild. The iPhone 11 has a standard 12 megapixel front camera. We all know it. The iPhone 17 has a new 18 megapixel center stage front camera. But the magic is, it's a square sensor. So what does a square sensor mean? It means, and this is the viral feature, you can hold your phone vertically like you always do for a selfie and take a landscape photo. It's so smart. It just crops a wide horizontal shot from the middle of that big square sensor. For vlogging, for group selfies, it's a huge functional upgrade. And yeah, I really believe everyone is going to copy this. As we talked about, both phones run iOS 26. But you know, this is very likely the last major iOS update for the iPhone 11. It's had a great 6-year run. The iPhone 17, on the other hand, is just getting started. It will get updates for, 6, 7, maybe even 8 more years. Okay, let's talk about Apple Intelligence. All the new on-device AI features. Let's just be honest and clear, the iPhone 11 does not support Apple Intelligence. Its A13 chip just doesn't have the neural engine for it. And for me, this is not a deal breaker. And I have 2 big reasons for that. First, as of right now, in late 2025, Apple Intelligence is still, it's early. It's still in beta. Apple is still rolling out features, and new language support just came in the 26.1 update. It's not a fully mature thing yet. And my second reason is I usually just use an alternative anyway, like Gemini or ChatGPT, which are frankly way more powerful right now. And the funniest part, All of the reports are saying that Apple is paying Google like $1 billion to use Google's Gemini AI to power the new smarter series. So, my alternative is the same one Apple is apparently using. So no, not a deal breaker. The real downsides of the iPhone 11 in 2025 are no 5G, it feels laggy on new software, the battery life is a struggle, and it's at the end of its software life. And the Lightning port. The only real downside of the base 17 is that it doesn't have the dedicated telephoto zoom lens of the 17 Pro, but with the new 2x in sensor zoom, that gap is smaller than it has ever been. So that's the story. We've gone from a 60Hz LCD to a 120Hz ProMotion OLED, a 3.5 by gap in multi-core performance, a 12 megapixel camera to a 48 megapixel system that has macro and a 2x zoom, Lightning to USB-C, a dying battery to a solid all-dayer. If you are still on an iPhone 11, first of all, congrats, you got your money's worth. But in late 2025, it is really the right time for an upgrade. And I truly believe the iPhone 17 base model is the one to get. Here's my final thought. For years, the real gap between the regular iPhone and the Pro iPhone, it wasn't the steel edges or even the third camera, it was the 60Hz screen. It was the one thing you felt every single time you touched your phone. This year, for the same price as last year's base model, Apple closed that gap. They put the ProMotion display in the iPhone 17. That's the real upgrade. So if you're coming from an iPhone 11, the performance, the battery, the new cameras, the USB-C, and that display, it is gonna feel like an insane upgrade. It's the one you've been waiting for. That's just my take. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you still on an 11? Are you upgrading? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.